there, Alaskans, wherever you are. Welcome to the Must Read Alaska Show. Coming to you from somewhere in Alaska. This is the place where we talk about, you guessed it, Alaska. Where we keep the mainstream media on their toes and where we are standing up for what's right in a world run by leftists. You can find out more by heading over to mustreadalaska.com and also checking out the Must Read Alaska YouTube channel for some really great content. But first, let's get this party started.
Welcome, everybody, to the Must Read Alaska Show. I'm your host, John Quick, coming to you live from somewhere in Alaska. And man, is it a beautiful day. I can tell you, today feels like the first day of summer. It's 75. It's sunny. My kids are jumping through the sprinkler. We hiked up Bear Mountain, down Ski Lake Road. Man, it's been a great summer day. I hope that there's another 60 of these days in a row, which would be pretty awesome. I want to thank everybody that listens, watches, and reads Must Read Alaska. We do this to spread conservative news for all the nooks and crannies of Alaska. And if you support Must Read Alaska, I want to thank you. If you want to support Must Read Alaska, all you got to do is go to mustreadalaska.com. And on the right-hand side there's a little donate button. Click on that. Every $5, $10, $100 helps keep the lights on here at Must Read Alaska. We're not funded by some dark web nonprofit money conglomerate. We are just funded by everyday folks who care about conservative news in Alaska. But without further ado, I have one of my favorite people ever. Bethany Marcum here is on the Must Read Alaska show today. She is the executive director of Alaska Policy Forum, and she fights for what conservatives would say are policies that they would care about. And she also has a couple folks with her that have recently graduated from her leadership academy. So without further ado, Bethany, welcome to the Must Read Alaska show.
Thank you very much, John. So sweet of you. We're really happy to be here, and I'm especially happy to have two incredible graduates of the Leadership Academy with us. And we're really excited to talk to you about the Academy and tell people about it and how they can be part of it as well. So thanks for taking time on a beautiful sunny day to everyone for getting on the computer when we should be outside, frolicking in the sunshine.
Well, I'm excited to chat with you. For folks that maybe haven't heard about, the Alaska Leadership Academy, tell us kind of 30,000 foot view, what is the Alaska Leadership Academy and how did it come to be?
Yeah, so the Alaska Leadership Academy is an 8-month program, and it's really for any Alaskan adult that wants to get connected to other leaders or to acquire new leadership skills or both, really. And it came about because we realized that in order for Alaska to really thrive, for our state to reach its full capacity, we need well-equipped thought leaders. We need people who can guide Alaska into the future. As you all have observed, I'm sure, our state has a lot of challenges. And so it's going to take a lot of people who understand and can apply really the enduring principles of our country, people who have like strong ethical standards and people who are visionaries. It's going to require people like that. So we launched this program last fall. And we combed through applications and did interviews, and we chose a really great cohort of Alaskans. They're from various parts of the state, and two of those we have with us here today. We have Kathy Hensley and Grant Robinson, and I'm excited to have them talk with you. But the way it works is one Saturday each month. They come together in person, and they hear from a variety of presenters who are experts from all around the country and around Alaska. And some of the sessions are more like skills-based training, like say on-camera media training, and others are more informational, like learning about the history of Alaska statehood and how that affects our relationship with the federal government. So there's really just a balance of different types of training and presentations, but it's a broad swath of learning for the participants. And we do that for 8 months from September to April, and we feed everybody breakfast and lunch during that Saturday when they're there with us. And then at the end, everybody who was successful in the program gets to graduate.
That's awesome. I think oftentimes folks that are in the political bubble in Alaska on the conservative side, even right of center, have talked about, well, we need a farm team. We need something to teach folks about the basics of, good policy. And so, man, somebody finally stepped up to the plate, and that person is you, Bethany. So I really appreciate you doing this.
Well, it was not me. It was our team at Alaska Policy Forum and our donors and supporters that make these sorts of programs possible. This is not a cheap program to do. I think that Grant and Kathy will tell you we did pretty well in terms of feeding them and bringing up some good quality presenters, and all that is not without cost. But we did it because we know it's important, and our supporters and donors allowed us to do this by supporting the program. So it's something that is absolutely one of the best investments we've made, in my opinion.
That's awesome. Well, Kathy, talk to me about your experience here. You've ran for a couple positions in Anchorage, elected official positions, and now you see yourself back at probably the best leadership academy in Alaska that could teach somebody principles that and policies that conservatives care about. So tell us about your experience and what made you take this leap to go and do this in the first place.
Yes, thanks for having us, John. So I have always been admirer of the Alaska Policy Forum and the things that they take on. And I like, I just understand that good policy will move our state forward. And so that was important to me. When I heard that this academy was coming up, I was very excited to apply and then to be accepted into the academy. And um, I was in a position, and I am in a position where I'd like to be available to influence some of the policies moving forward in Alaska. And the truth is, like you pointed out, John, there's not a lot of really great resources in Alaska necessarily for this kind of thing. And so when Alaska Policy Forum came up with this academy, I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity to really take advantage of this amazing resource and get some really interesting information and practice in leadership skills.
That's awesome. So Grant, you're also here with us. So what was your experience like, and why was it so important for you to be a part of this year?
Yeah, John. Well, I think the main thing is you don't know what you don't know. And anytime you have the opportunity to learn from folks who are so experienced and knowledgeable in their field, that's an opportunity that's really hard to pass up. So when I saw, the main concept that this Leadership Academy was trying to accomplish, we didn't have the full itinerary yet, but I knew it was an opportunity that I had to at least, feel out and see, like, is this going to be something that's worthwhile? And as it turned out, it was definitely something that was worth, those 8 Saturdays.
That's awesome. So Kathy, back to you. My question to you is this, is this something that somebody with a full-time job or a part-time job or going, maybe they have 2 or 3 kids at home, is this something that somebody could do that's already kind of active in their everyday life, or is this something that you can only do if you have no responsibilities at the house and your kids are out of the house? Is this something that I think it's important for folks to kind of know what they're getting into. And I also think that oftentimes people think, well, I'll never be able to do this. I got 2 kids, I've got 3 kids, I've got a full-time job, I got a part-time job. I could never do something like this. Is this feasible for folks with those responsibilities to do?
Well, I will say it is definitely a time commitment. However, on those Saturdays, you get there, you're thinking 8 hours of learning, and they just went by so fast because it was so well organized and so well prepared. The presenters were so interesting and really engaging. So in that sense, that Saturday goes by amazingly quick, and you're done, and you're thinking, wow, we got such good information here. But as you know, I'm a very, very busy person. But one of the things about leadership is investing in yourself, in your own knowledge and better skills in leadership is a way to kind of get a handle on all the busy things in our lives. Because the truth is, John, I'd like to do 100 more things than I'm doing right now, but lots of times I don't have time for those things. So I saw this Leadership Academy as a way to help me learn how to manage my time better and really identify priorities. And that's been super helpful for me. So I think it was so worth it. And I would encourage anybody, especially busy people, to come to something like this.
I like that. So Grant, to you, what is your biggest takeaway of this Leadership Academy? If you had to whittle it down to 1 or 2 things, what would they be?
Well, there really are a whole lot of skills and little tidbits that are very helpful just in everyday life, especially in the professional realm. But I think the main takeaway is that there's a lot of reason to be optimistic. If you read whatever news source you choose to read and just look at the headlines, it's really easy to get down, both at the state level, the local level, and the national level, and international level, frankly. But through this program, meeting these other people who are part of the program, both the other students and the presenters, it kind of puts reality back right in front of you. And it's like, oh, the world is not as doomed necessarily as sometimes you might think, if all you're reading is just the headlines that are, if it bleeds, it leads, and trying to capitalize on rage. So there's a lot of reason to be optimistic, just because of the hearts of the folks that are a part of this program and that have poured into supporting the program.
Sounds like it was very impactful to you. What about you, Kathy? What were a couple of your biggest takeaways of the Leadership Academy?
So I would say one of the most helpful sessions for me personally was the public speaking weekend. It was super helpful. It was very concise and really practical. So that for me was one of the best weekends. But overall for the program, I love what Grant said about optimism, absolutely. And to have presenters come from all over the country and be talking about things that we're interested in a way of looking at how to not just wallow in a problem, but solve the problem. And I think my biggest takeaway for the whole class was really connection with other people in Alaska, connection with people all across the country, that there are a large number of people that are interested in the prosperity and moving forward of their states and of this nation. And there are people that are working towards that with good policy. That was my number one takeaway, that those relationships and connections are super important.
I like that. So Bethany, just like Grant alluded to, in today's world, it's very easy to get, down about the political atmosphere that we're in. Doesn't matter if somebody listens to Fox News or CNN or everything in between. Does a program like this give you hope for Anchorage, for Alaska, to see people willing to, put their time in to do the hard work to, potentially get better results down the road?
John, even much more so than I even imagined, because it was, I was so touched during graduation. One of the things that the graduates did at the very end of the program was that they put together leadership plans, and they talked about how they wanted to go use what they had learned in our state, and the array of leadership roles that they have their eyes on, that they want to be able to step into and do within our state, gives me so much hope, because we had folks from every realm, from specific industries to government to churches, certain businesses, and it was just really encouraging to think that all of these folks are going to be stepping into leadership roles and being visionary leaders in all the places that matter in our state. And that gives me great hope for our country. So I'm really excited about the folks who did graduate, and I'm excited about the next cohort of students that we're going to be taking on here shortly.
Yeah, so there'll be people listening to this thinking, oh my gosh, I could do this. It's on a Saturday. I could devote however many Saturdays or whatever it's going to look like. Are you going to do another one? When's that information going to come out? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, we are absolutely doing it. It was so successful, we can't not do it again. And it's going to be bigger and better. So the thing about Kathy and Grant and the other graduates of last year is that they were to some degree guinea pigs, and we asked them lots of questions because it was our first year doing it. And we knew that there were things we weren't going to get right, and there were going to be lessons learned. And so we asked them for a lot of their input. They had to fill out forms and such all the time to tell us about what we were getting right and what we were getting wrong. And so we have a really incredible program director, Jennifer Walther, and she just has the perfect background and temperament to lead this program. And she's done an amazing job of taking all of that input and creating an even better program for this next year. So we do have the syllabus already out for next year, Grant, you'll be happy to know. And we have almost all but one of the presenters confirmed. And we have some that I'm so excited about. the ones that we've been able to book for the first time this year. So I personally can't wait to bring these folks to Alaska. And so it's going to be even bigger and better. And it's going to be a little bit bigger, I say, in terms of the number of folks. We still want to keep it relatively small because you heard both Grant and Kathy speak to the importance of the relationships that they created and the network that they created. And so we do want to make sure we maintain that. But at the same time, we want to give a few more Alaskans the opportunity to participate. So we are expanding it a little bit, but it really was just an amazing thing. And so again, we're kicking it off right now, and applications are available on our website right now. All the details are there. That's alaskapolicyforum.org, and the applications are due on August 1st. So there's still several more weeks where folks can complete those applications, and we're just really excited about what next year is going to bring for this program.
Awesome. Well, I will make sure to put a link to that in the podcast description. One of my last questions to Bethany, is this: why should policy matter to folks? Because we get kind of different tiers of people involved in political things. Some people don't even vote. You have some people that do vote, and that's their way of getting involved. And you have some people that vote and volunteer on campaigns and whatnot. And you have some people who's they're paid by campaigns, and the list goes on and on. Why should policy matter? A lot of people don't even think about policy when they're just in their everyday lives, but why is it a big deal, and why should it be a big deal to people?
Policy is everything that we do. So if you pay property taxes or if you don't pay property taxes, that is policy. Whether or not, we charge property taxes for the city of Anchorage, whether or not we have a sales tax or an income tax, that's policy for the city of Anchorage. Whether or not we are allowed to mine our minerals, whether or not we're allowed to mine those minerals and put those into cell phones, or if we're allowed to sell those somewhere else, that's all policy. So really everything that we do for a living, everything that we do to generate productivity and prosperity for our state, for our cities, for our families. Obviously, there's a lot of family policy as well. So even though you don't think of things throughout your daily life as being policy, everything is driven by policy. And so it's extremely important. And I'm really pleased that we have some new Alaskans who just really have a broad base of knowledge now that hopefully is a little bit more so than what they had before, to be able to go out and start influencing some of that policy.
I like that. So Kathy, any last minute thoughts as it relates to the Alaska Leadership Academy? The floor is yours. You got a minute.
Well, I would just say that if you're considering any leadership position in business or in your church, your faith community, or in politics, and you're looking for some resource to help you kind of formulate what your leadership ability and what your leadership future might look like, I would definitely apply to the Leadership Academy. I think it's an amazing honor to be chosen to be part of this Leadership Academy, and you will make connections that you really won't be able to make anywhere else.
Nice. What about you, Grant? You got a minute. Floor is yours. Any last minute thoughts on the Alaska Leadership Academy in your experience?
Well, I think Kathy's words sum it up pretty well. If you're on the fence, it's going to take a little bit of sacrifice, but anything that's worth doing is going to take some amount of sacrifice. And you really have no idea what you may get out of it. I know personally, I took away a lot more than I was expecting, and I had pretty high standards for it going in. So definitely 5 stars in my book.
Nice. I like that. Well, Bethany does not mess around when it comes to policy. So Bethany, do you have any last minute thoughts before we head out here on the Leadership Academy or the Alaska Policy Forum?
I would just encourage folks to apply. We don't have an age limit. It is adults, so not children, but there's no age limit. We had a broad range of ages in the last cohort, and so really anyone who's interested in making a difference and creating a better Alaska, I encourage you to apply. And if you have any questions, you can give us a call or email those to us from our website. So alaskapolicyforum.org.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, all three of you, for joining me on the Must Read Alaska show. We wish you nothing but success in your second round of the Alaska Leadership Academy. And congrats to Kathy and Grant for graduating from the Alaska Leadership Academy. That sounds pretty awesome. And we want to thank everybody that listens, watches, and reads Must Read Alaska. If you want to help keep the lights on, just go to mustreadalaska.com. On the right-hand side, there is a little donate button. We'd love for you to give a $5, $10, even $100 gift if you really want to help us keep the lights on here at Must Read Alaska. And if you already do that, we want to thank you for doing that. I'm going to have a special guest. I won't even tell you who, but it's going to be an Alaska reality star celebrity next week, which is going to be very exciting. You're going to want to tune into that. So until next time, I'm John Quick from somewhere in Alaska. Thank you, Bethany, Kathy, and Grant for joining me.